You always sit so high. There we go.
Hello, everybody. It is Tisha and Nate, and we've got our special hot seat guest, Joseph Rosales, joining us today, this Friday. And thank you for just being patient with us as we get started. I had another panel that was a little earlier from 10 to 11, which pushed our talk to 11:30. So I appreciate you tuning in. But real quick, I want to just introduce Joseph so we can get this show on the road. Joseph is a business performance expert. He's a consultant, a coach, a mentor. He's been doing this for decades and decades. And he's also an author, and he is the founder of the Performance Group of Arizona. He's been on my podcast, Success Over Struggle, in the past. So welcome, Joseph. Good to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great. And today we're going to be talking about leadership in challenging times. And what better person to talk about leadership than the leadership expert, Joseph. All right, so this is really more of a Q&A type of interview session where we get to talk about some leadership skills and so forth. But if you have questions, be sure to use the chat line and we'll be able to answer those real time. And Nate loves to send little messages back to you too. But let's get going. Nate, you have some questions that we have for Joseph. You want to get it started?
Yeah. Joseph, what are some of the traits that effective leaders share in common, in your opinion?
Well, it's interesting because, and by the way, thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to talk to everybody about something so important as leadership in these challenging times. Leadership is important in business all the time. It just seems to be really heightened now because people are looking to be led. People are lacking direction. People are confused about where to go and how to do things. And it's not business as usual right now. It's business in the new norm. So, we're going to talk about some of those things. But, one of the things that we find in leaders, and again, over 3 decades of doing this with a lot of different companies, from Fortune 100 companies down to mom and pops and entrepreneurs, leadership is one of the fundamentals because it helps set the direction for things and helps people move in a direction. So before you can move in a direction, though, you need a vision. And so the first thing that I talk about in a book that I wrote back in 2003, Customer Service is a Contact Sport, the signature is always the same. It's been that way for all those years. A vision without a plan is just a dream. And if you think about that, many people just show up and they go and they do what they do and they keep that original vision, but they don't really continue to alter that vision to fit the times and to fit their business. So you got to have a vision, but a vision starts with perspective, and it's something we talk about all the time in business. What's your perspective? For example, let's take this current pandemic that we're in. Everybody feels differently about it. Some people think it's the end of the world and I better prepare and buy all my food and hoard everything. And other people think it's a hoax and everything in between. So what's your perspective on that? Because your perspective on anything, whether it's your business and the opportunities you have in your business, or it's the pandemic, or it's your family or your finances, what's your perspective? You start there. What do you think about everything? Because that's going to help shape your vision. But once you have a vision, for what you want to do and how you want to go from here to there, wherever here is and wherever there is, what's your plan? And it's interesting because we find, and having done this forever, we find that people spend more time planning their vacation than they do the next 6 months of their business. And if you were going on vacation, you would want to know where are my options of going. What's the programs to get there? How do I have to fly? Do I drive? What are we going to do when we get there? You lay out your whole plan for vacation. What are you going to do every single day? But we don't do that with our business. We just show up and do our best. So when you talk about vision, you talk about plan, and then I've altered, remember that vision without a plan is just a dream? I've altered that in the past couple of years to include action. Because I know there's a lot of people that have visions and they have plans, but they don't do the actions. So a vision without a plan will remain just a dream without the actions. You've got to do the actions. So that's some things that we see: vision, plan, and action. And I want to say this one because this one's so important, because we talked about structural things just now. But what about things like honesty? Leaders have to be honest. And we know what it looks like when we're talking to somebody who's not honest. And you can't trust what they say. And leaders have to be honest, whether it's good news or bad news or no news. You got to be honest, because honesty leads us to another word that starts with an I, integrity. Leaders have to have integrity. If I can't trust what you say, it leads to a lack of integrity. And I, as a follower, have to have faith in the people that are leading. If I don't, then I won't follow, or I'll follow, but only sort of follow. And that's an issue. So we talk about honesty, integrity, and things like that. And there's so many more, but we only have a half hour today. So those are some fundamentals.
I like what you said too, Joseph, about what is your perspective on this? Because some people are looking at this as this is the end of the world. And by the way, hi Nat, I see you over there. And yes, good looking guy on the right. But I want to just say that, like, I look at it, and I've said this repeatedly in a lot of posts, that I'm looking at the blessings in this. I'm not looking at so much as a curse, because it is what you put out there, right? It's that mindset of this is the worst thing ever. It sucks. But if you feel that way, then I feel like it's a snowball effect. You're inviting all of that negativity in versus I'm going to look at the positive, even if it's just little things that I notice that are a positive because of this, like spending more time with my family, getting my house organized, doing all these things. That is a positive. And I feel like that's just invited so many more opportunities and more positive into my life by just changing that simple thinking.
100%. Well, you know, it's interesting too, because along that same line, I don't know if you've heard me say this before, but comfort and complacency are very closely related. And when we get comfortable in our business because everything's going great, we're making money, everything seems to be moving along, we get comfortable, and sooner or later you can become complacent. Much like in a relationship, if you're married, have a significant other, have friends, you can't become complacent with those relationships because you get too comfortable. And that happens all the time. So none of us are comfortable right now. And that is causing us to look at some alternatives, to look at different ways of doing things. I mean, Tisha, you know, well, I've been working on digital stuff for probably 6 or 8 months, bringing programs to digital and putting together online programs. But we were kind of, we'll get to it when we get to it. And when we had to shut down all of our live events, because you remember Tisha was our MC for a series of events coming up, and we were launching these live leadership summits. And starting with Phoenix, we were moving on to Chicago, to Dallas, to Philly, and LA all this year. They all had to get shut down. So guess what? We got very uncomfortable with that because we're like, wow, now all of a sudden all those things that we were doing are off the table now. We had to go digital. And we're doing that now. And Hannah, Hassler's doing an amazing job putting this in the digital format. But we had to get out of our comfort zone a little bit. And so many businesses are uncomfortable right now. And maybe it's a good thing. And you said it best, Tisha. It's how you see it. You see this as an opportunity to improve and to develop some new things and skills in your business? Or are you going to sit back, hunker down, and wait till everything goes back to normal? It ain't going back to normal anytime soon.
No. And I for one, think that so many of us are in survival mode right now. And if you were just going to hide your head under the covers and wait for it to pass, you're going to be waiting a long time. So you better jump on that and start getting creative, start getting out of your complacency zone and move. And sorry, I'm a little riled up. It's like, you don't get to just sit there. You got to move.
Well, there's 2 words. There's survive or thrive.
Yeah.
Choose to thrive. And we're busier now than we've been forever because we're now focused on different things in different ways. So it is a great opportunity to re-engineer your business. And when I was on your last SOS podcast, we talked about moving my company from 40 people that I had working for me, multi-million-dollar company that I formed from nothing with a business card and a little money in a checking account, 30 plus years ago. And we grew it to something amazing. And then I decided to downsize because I was traveling all the time and I didn't want to be away, 200 nights a year. So now we have a different business, but it's amazing. So thank you for allowing me to share that because it really is so much driven by perspective.
No, I mean, you're absolutely right. It's very easy for you to get down on it and take the perspective of, everything's falling apart. Now it's time for me to lay it back, like you said. But you know, a lot of times the best leaders, they just put their head down and start working, and then everybody else just kind of follows suit because they realize like that's how you move forward and slow through it. So I agree with you 100% there.
Well, I want to add one more thing to the whole idea of vision and perspective. As a leader, you have to be a communicator. You have to communicate what's in here to your people. Because you can have a great vision, you can have a great plan, but if you are not articulate at communicating it to others and helping pull people along to that vision, then no wonder people just stay. They don't know where to go because you haven't shared it with them. So sharing that vision on a consistent basis and communicating it. I'm going to offer your guest an article that I wrote a few months ago called The Art, Science, and Psychology of Persuasion. And it's going to come to them free. They just have to text out a number. But it's interesting because the ability to persuade people in business and in life isn't about manipulation. It's about understanding the art and the science and the psychology of why people follow, why people do what they do, and equipping yourself to be more persuasive in helping people say, I get that. Yeah, let's go that way. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Have you ever, we're talking about leadership skills, have you ever gone to a person and said, we need to work on that? They're like, I'm the best leader. And you're like, wait. No. Like I can say no, we need to work on that.
Yeah.
Like,
well, I did a 2-hour session for one of our clients. It's a bank, and they had, I guess we had 80, 90 people on this call, and they were all people wanting to talk about high performance leadership. And it was interesting because as we did some surveys and some polls with people, and the question was, how do you know you're a good leader?
Mm-hmm. That's a good question.
It's interesting because most people can't even define leadership. You ask, what does being a great leader mean? How do you define leadership? Most people don't know how to define leadership. So how do you attain leadership, effectiveness if you don't know how to define it? And so it starts with simple things like that. But yeah, I've had lots of times where you can see people, they're really bossing people. They're really managing process. But in my world, leaders lead and develop people, managers manage process. And in today's economy, you can't be one or the other. You have to be both. You have to have both skills. You have to be a good manager. You have to be a good planner. You have to understand how to manage all the little processes that go in place. But if you focus on that, who's leading the people? The answer is, in most cases, no one. They're kind of leading themselves. You tell them what to do and hope they do it. See, telling somebody what to do and hoping they do it is not a plan. You gotta equip people, motivate people, inspire people to move in a direction that everybody is clear about. But you can't move there if you're not clear. You can't move there if you don't have the skills. You can't move there if you're not equipped. You can't move there if you're not coached properly. We do a lot of work with. A lot of times we'll film people. We call it game filming, doing what they do, and it's amazing when people hear themselves giving others instructions about something they're trying to lead them in, and when you play it back to them, they're saying, "Wow, that didn't make much sense, did it?" Because they've never heard themselves lead. What leaders have really seen themselves lead before? It's not often that somebody actually has objectively seen themselves lead so they can see what they look like as a leader. And often what they do is they ramp up their tone, and the more passionate and more aggressive and the more energy they put into it, the more they think people are going to follow. Well, if the communication's poor, passion doesn't do it. Does that make sense? So there's a lot of those things. We look at a lot of communication. We look at how do people lead and why do they lead that way? Even understanding your leadership style is important for you to get at least a handle on before you can really elevate your effectiveness. Because we're really looking about effectiveness. Because there are all kinds of leaders. There's good leaders, bad leaders, medium leaders, right? We want to be a good leader. We want to be a great leader. We want to be an effective leader, somebody who, people are following on purpose and they're consistent. And I think I think it was Nate was saying something the other day about the 3 C's of leadership, and one of them was clarity, and that's essential. You got to be clear. So. Clarity, consistency, and result. We have CCR, clarity, consistency, and result. That's what leaders have to be. So,
I just want to say something, and I really love this concept, and thank you so much, Renee, Elliot, great post that leadership is a support role as well. And I think as a leader, you have to take that humbleness of tell me what I'm doing wrong. And what you mentioned, Joseph, about this whole game plan and recording the leader in action so they can watch it and get that feedback of this is how you improve upon it. Like, I kind of credit this to my son's soccer team, which is not very good. And even though the coach is amazing, I love the coaching staff, and they're totally pouring into these kids, and they're keeping it positive, and all the parents are like, oh, like we're on the sidelines. And I'm like, I need to record you in action because you will not see it for yourself unless you get to see the replay.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We learned that from coaching youth sports. My son grew up as an elite athlete, and he played lacrosse for ASU. And I'll tell you what, watching them on film is so telling. See, anybody can press the button on a camera and film it, but it's the breaking down of the film and then the coaching, the improvement. That's where the magic is. So when we film somebody doing whatever they do, whether it's a customer service process or a sales process or a leadership process, whatever it is, it's amazing because they've never seen themselves on film, first of all. Secondly, you can't just say, watch that and then not break it down. You got to be able to break the film down, and then you got to be able to coach people to the improvement. That's the 3 steps in game film. And it's a tool we've been using forever, but now we have them on anybody can film themselves. They should. I tell people, put your camera on your desk and film yourself making that call. Film yourself having that interview and see how you do. You were talking about interviewing people today and in the previous events you were doing. It's amazing how people have never been trained on how to do an effective interview. But it's such an important point in how you set the tone for learning about who that person is instead of hiring and hoping. Most businesses hire and hope. They don't interview to find out who that person really is and find out what their skill sets are. I'm more concerned with who someone is rather than what they know. Most people are hiring skill instead of hiring attitude. So it's the same. It's in every business. It's the same. So interesting. So and you said something about humility a minute ago, and I wanted to go back to that because you got to be humble as a leader, and that doesn't mean be shy. It means humble. Give credit to others. Don't take credit yourself. Say, my team. Well, I couldn't do this without them. And mean it. Really mean it. And watch how it comes apart.
I was pointing to you. Joseph, I'm pointing to you, but I'm actually trying to point to Nate. Oh, I suck at technical stuff. I mean, if you guys have watched this live video, my sound's gone off multiple times. And Nate's like, why do you let me handle that? I will take it. So, yeah, I admit wholeheartedly, not my strength, but it's Nate's strength, and he's very good at it. So yeah, I agree. And that's
how you do the interviews, right?
This is not the Tisha show. This is the Tisha and Nate show. Like, I love that we get to do this together. And
oh yeah,
for those of you who haven't, been tuning in, this happened as a result of COVID-19. Of how do we start doing something where we still involve our community and expand our network and get to dive into cool conversations with good people doing some great things, and this is a result. So that's vision put into action and not remaining a dream, right?
Oh yeah,
Absolutely.
I think to add what you were saying there, Joseph, is one of the skills that we learned in the Army, and it's super simple, and it even can be considered corny or whatever, but was the after action review, and it kind of goes in hand with your recording yourself and looking at it, because the thing that we used to do after everything was get together, let your subordinates talk to you about what they saw, what they thought we could improve, and stuff like that, and then you also give your thoughts to it. It just it opens up that dialogue for teams to work together, and for leaders to really one, learn how to lead their personnel better, but also to learn how to overcome the mistakes that they're making. Because everybody's gonna make mistakes as a leader. That's just life. Yeah. But you always learn from it that way.
Well, that's another leadership essential, and we have a program called Leadership Essentials that teaches people about the essentials of an effective leader, and that is absolutely one of them: collaboration. It's not my way or the highway. It's my way or your way or their way, whatever's the best way. I don't care who comes up with the idea. I care that it works. And once we identify that best way, let's all do it that way. Does that make sense? Because so many leaders say, hey, it's my way or the highway. You do it this way. This is what, and you went, wait a minute, who said? So when you collaborate with others, you not only get new ideas, but you get people to buy in because they're saying, yeah, you know what? We collaborated on this and we're going to do this together. And when it's we, it's different than I. I don't even say, I rarely use the word I. I want you to do this. It's we need to do this. We have a problem, not you have a problem.
Yeah. Language is so important too in how you phrase that. You know, it really is of, oh, Nate, is Nate still there?
I don't know.
He might have dropped off the screen. Well, Nate, if you're still there, we're still going because we're still live. But you know, I have had those bosses in the past where they were very passive aggressive and they were like, it's this way. I'm like, but I have a lot of years of experience and I'd love to be able to share how we do this better. No, it's this way. And ultimately, what ends up happening when you have that my way or the highway mentality, you lose good people and your business starts to suffer and you ultimately see a decrease in your, you know, in your business profits. And it's like, and who's to blame? So I love that you're saying that. If you're going to be a good leader, there's so many qualities that you need about being humble and, you know, and having it be a we team environment instead of it's just my way. I don't care about what you think.
Collaboration is one of the most critically important resources that you have in your business because you will get new ideas from people. You will get buy-in from people. But imagine if somebody squishes your ideas, listen, I'm not interested, just do it the way I said. Pretty soon you stop giving your ideas. And when you stop giving your ideas, then your performance is going to change because you know what? Whatever, I'll just do what I need to do to get by. And that's when people start disconnecting. It's some weird statistic and it's super high. Something like 73% of people are disconnected to their jobs because nobody cares. But they do care, but they don't know how to show it sometimes. You ask a leader, do you care? Yeah, I care. Well, then how do you show it? Yeah. And I tell people all the time, when was the last time you told your customers or your clients that you really appreciate them? That you really care about them? Well, they should know. Well, when was the last time you told your husband or your wife that you love them?
Tell my husband that? I'm kidding.
No, and they love hearing it, right? Your spouse loves it. Yes. Customers love it.
I am a girl. I like to hear it.
I love hearing it. So I know we're coming up on about 7 minutes left, so I want to make sure that we got through a couple.
Yeah, Nate, do you have some more questions for Joseph?
Oh, I'm loaded with questions. We're going to make So Joseph, how has the need for effective leadership changed over the past few months? I know you've kind of already touched on it a little bit, but like, you know, what are some of the things you've seen in dire need in terms of what people are looking for?
Wow, that's a great question. You know, somebody asked me something similar to that the other day, and you know, the stakes are higher than ever right now. This right now is not the time for you to feel your way around in the dark. This is not the time for you to try and figure out things by trial and error. This is the time to get clear about what you're trying, where you are, and where you're trying to go, and what are the options to get there. And so whether you have a coach or a consultant you're working with, or you have accountability partners that you're working with, you can't go this alone because the stakes are super high right now. And the window for getting back in the market and doing it at a high level and being really productive is very small because consumers are waiting to get back, but they're waiting, who's going to take care of it? Who's going to keep this environment safe? Because if you don't talk about it, if you ignore it, then people are going to think you don't care about it. And if you don't care about it, that means you don't care about me as a customer. If you don't care about me and my health and my safety, my family, then guess what? I'm not going to be your customer anymore. So you can't freak out about it, but you got to prepare for it, and you got to do it in a way that's really positive and proactive. So, you know, we launched a series of talks last Tuesday, and we're going to do it every Tuesday for the next 9 weeks. And it's called Business in the New Normal. And our guest speakers are amazing guest speakers. Actually, Tisha's going to be one of them. She's going to talk about personal branding, not just in the normal way, but to talk about, if you're changing your business and transitioning right now, you got to be able to stand out. You got to be able to have a clear brand. You got to be able to understand, how am I going to connect with the marketplace that is now flooded with everybody and their mother trying to be a consultant or a coach? How are you different? And our first guest next Tuesday is an attorney, is an asset protection attorney, talking about all the things that are coming in litigation that we aren't even thinking about. Simple one might be something like if an employee, you have 10 employees, half of them don't believe in the virus and half of them do, and you have processes and protocols that you need to put in place, and these people don't want to do it, that's an issue. Not just a functional issue, but can you fire these people because they were good employees before, but now because they don't think the same way you do, you have issues. So there's all these things that as we open this onion, as we start to peel this thing back, wow, had no idea that we're going to be dealing with these kinds of things. We're just trying to get back to business. Now I got to think about safety and hygiene and litigation and employee wellness, and I got to think about all kinds of stuff. All I wanted to do was go sell my product or service. Mm-hmm. But it's not that way anymore. So people, I'm going to ask people if they want to text in this leadership to this number. They'll get a free invitation to it, and they'll get a free copy of my book. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it's amazing because it is so critically important now to be clear and to be concise and to be prepared and to be, on our website, weflattenthecurve.com. We own that website now, weflattenthecurve.com. It's a site that shares hygiene tips and shares good social contact tips and raises money for relief organizations. But it's amazing to me because people need to be informed, they need to be prepared, and they need to be diligent. You cannot do this stuff one day out of 5. You have to be diligent, not just in your social hygiene and social contact strategies, but in your business approach. You got to be consistent. Consistency is critical. We thrive on consistency as human beings. And when things are not consistent, we get off balance a little bit. So much the same in business and so much the same in some of these practices. That, guess what? You're going to see people with masks on now. It's going to be weird. It's going to be different. And the people that don't wear masks in public places, eventually they're going to start to be the ones that are ostracized. They're going to be the ones that say, you know what, why are you not protecting me? Why are you doing this? And pretty soon, right now, if you wear a mask, you look kind of odd and weird. It's changing. Eventually, well, our state's probably going to go that way soon, where mandatory mask every place you go. So those kinds of changes and how you engage them and how you talk to your customers about it and how you talk to your employees about it, all that matters because you got one shot to make a great first impression, and relaunching your business in this environment is challenging, but it's doable. We're actually helping people with that. And we've been writing protocols for our clients and for new clients that are coming to us saying, how do I do this? What do I have to say to my employees? How do we manage these things? And every business is different. Some have much more social contact than others. Some are just in offices. Some are retail. Some are restaurants. Some. I have a client that's in the pharmacy business, and they all have to be looked at differently. But you can do these things very simply by game filming. We have them use a camera. They walk through all their contact points, and then we can make assessments and write strategies for them and write outlines and protocols for them and get it done. Because if you don't do that, you may have some liability if one of your employees gets sick. Mm-hmm. And that's all coming, and that's one of the things that Ike's going to talk about on our call on next Tuesday. So what's interesting, it's exciting, it's energizing, and I know Tisha was saying she's all pumped up because you can't just sit still.
Just kidding. It is Friday, people. We need to lighten the mood.
Yeah, and it is. So it is. So if anybody wants to text the word leadership to 77948, just get your phone out, type the word leadership to 77948. You'll get a free copy of my book that comes out in June. The title of that book is The Leader of You. I believe that you can't be a good leader of others unless you're first a good leader of you. And then you're going to get a copy for free, and this is all free. And we don't send these things to anybody else. We don't blast you with all kinds of stuff. If you get something once a month from us, I would be surprised. So it's leadership to 77948. You get a copy of the book. You get a copy of the article. the art and science and psychology of persuasion. And if anybody is interested in talking to us about what we do to help you develop these protocols in your business, text my phone number. That's 623-522-6201. I don't know if you put that on the screen later or whatever you do. Or you can just 7794, you'll get it automatically too. But you can talk to us, and we give a free 30-minute conversation. Cost you nothing. Just call us and talk to us and see if we can help you. If we can help you, great. If we can't, then we'll tell you.
Awesome. I love that. Even free parting gifts for all of our guests. So Joseph, when we play the replay and in the notes, that I'll put this text in there so people can grab that. That's awesome. I'm sure people have the time to read that and to really figure out how they can be better leaders and how they can pass that on to their staff and even for their customers. Nate, do you have something else you'd like to share?
No, I'm good. It's been great having you on, Joseph. I appreciate all your points of view, and yeah, if everybody will just text leadership to that number you gave out and get those free resources, I think that'll help a lot of people.
Can you do me a favor real quick, Nate? In the chat line, will you put that in there so it shows up on the feed? So
yeah.
It's 77948.
And the final thing that I would like to say is this. I truly believe that we're all in this together. And I truly believe that together we win. So don't be an island unto yourself. As an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, or even sometimes as a leader in a big business, they feel like they're isolated. Who do I talk to? Reach out. Reach out to me. Reach out to Tisha. Tisha, this is what you do. You mentor people. You help people understand how they can move from where they are to where they'd like to be. Nate, I'm not sure your business, but I'm sure you can help people with what your space is too. We're here to help people. And I truly believe if you help people attain what they want to attain, the rest of it's all good.
Nate, why don't you also share? Because Nate does some incredible, has an incredible business too, helping individuals.
Yeah, the big thing about us is we overhaul companies' entire infrastructure. Their processes, automations, their protocols, their SOPs, their entire technology. A lot of times we find ourselves bringing ERP solutions and productivity solutions to companies to take them to that next level of operation instead of, wasting a ton of time like just trying to find files when they need them or communicate and stuff like that. So that's a big thing, and I think some of your resources could help out there as well.
Well, thank you. And our company for almost 25 years was named the Sales and Service Group. We develop sales process, and we help people sell more and service at a higher level of what they do. Because the purpose of every business since the beginning of time is to sell a product or sell a service. Everything else supports that. So every business that's here, except for the IRS, they don't really sell a product or a service. They just take money. But everybody else sells a product or sells a service. And how do you do more of that? And how do you what we call it optimization? How do you optimize those processes? Which, Nate, I'm talking right in your neck of the woods there. It's all about optimization. It's not perfection. It's optimizing process so your results are better.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, a lot of people, they don't realize how much time we waste like creating to-do lists out of emails when you can automate those types of things. Creating work process improvement, trying to track down the CEO all the time and get approval. And it could be an automated process for him to just look at and, click yes or no. Those are the types of things that really just cuts out hours upon hours of wasted time.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, thank you for the work you do as well. But it's been a pleasure to be on your show today. And Tisha, thank you for always connecting everybody and doing what you do to help keeping us all moving in the right direction. And I'm going to go hang out in the backyard now and get a tan like you have.
That was the first thing he said. He's like, "You look so tan." I'm like, "It's bronzer." Then he's like, "Your hair looks like it's wind blown." I'm like, "It's long and it's flipping out." Oh, gotta love it. But thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Nate. Great conversation.
Yeah,
as always. Thank you to everybody that tuned in live. Dean, thank you. Good info here. I'm glad that you guys are finding this useful. And of course, Joseph had his leadership book and everything that you want to grab at that 77948. So make sure you text that. So next week, next Friday, this call is usually 10:30 AZ time, 1:30 Eastern time. We just switched it up today because I had a prior engagement. But we have Bruce joining us, and we're diving into Nate's favorite topic. Nate.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, like it's just the screen. But he's going to be talking about processes and systems. So I'm just going to probably sit back and let you two talk about it. Yes?
Yeah.
I'll control the tech side. You just
There you go. Yeah.
We're going to switch roles. He's going to be doing a lot more of the interviewing and chiming in. But thank you guys for being on today on our Casual Convo Friday. And see you guys next Friday.
Take care.
Yeah.
Thanks, Eric.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.